Hello everyone, my name is Haile Ochoa and today I'm going to present a pedagogical analysis of Saber Pro and Saber 11 in English competency. I'm going to be the teacher. My role is the teacher, so I'm going to explain the point of view of a teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Franklin Andres Moraguera. I'm going to be the designer of the academic test. I am the one who are going to present the analysis based on the perspective of a test designer.
We will explore how these instruments evaluate linguistic proficiency across different stages of a student's academic life. This is framework skills analysis of Saber 11. Our analysis is divided into two parts. High school exists at some professional level certifications. High school is Saber 11. Professional level is Saber Pro.
Okay, right here we have different items for different parts of the test. In this part, we can see one example of the English items used for these types of assessments. We have a type of assessment related to multiple choice answers and questions. And right here we can see the division of the macro skill and the micro skills used for these types of assessment. For example, in this case, we can see the micro skill, which is related to the recognition of communicative functions of written tests, and the micro skills related to the training of strong language, also the recognition of core words and interpretation of word order patterns. And also, this part of the test has a A1 English level of difficulty.
Saber 11 foundational competence. This exam is focused on primarily on foundational skills, typically on foundational categorized under the CEF4 A1 level. In part 1 through 3, students are evaluated on a lexical knowledge such as matching clothing items and pragmatic recognition of public notice and interactive communication to short, everyday conversations. In this case, in the part number 3, we have the macro and micro skills. In the macro skill, we have recognized the communicative foundations of writing text according to form and purpose. In the micro skills, we have retained shares of language of different lengths in short-term memory, recognize a core of words, and interpret words, order patterns, and their significance. The CEFR level is A1, so it's the basic level.
For the part 4, we have another part of the test. We have a reading test, and this have multiple choice questions, which are related to the selection of specific words, which are gonna be important in order to understand the general grammatic and also the structure of the test. Using the correct words, it's gonna make the test more easier for the one who are going to be evaluated. However, choosing the wrong answers is going to show how the people who are going to be evaluated have different problems trying to understand which type of words are used in different contexts. That's why in the macro and the micro skills we have different aspects to account. For example, the micro skill is related to the recognition of communicative function of the written test. In this case, it's supposed to be a written test about the information of an animal, which is supposed to be an informative test. So it's going to be used to share information. And the micro skills are related to the definition of different words and also the interpretation of the order of words in order to understand the purpose and also the significance of these words inside of the test. They also the micro skills of retaining the chunks of language and also to understand the different ranks of these types of chunks in a short term memory. And also in the CER level, we can see that this is a very easy test. It's a A1 English level test.
Now we're going to start with the next part, the Saber Pro item selections. So in this part, we can visualize the cognitive leap. While Saber 11 targets A1 and A2 levels, Saber Pro challenges students with B1 and B2 proficiency. We see a clear progression from simple situational recognition to the inferential analysis of complex academic discourses. Moving into Saber Pro, Part 4 demands a higher linguistic mastery at B1 level. A student must utilize scanning and scheming strategies while recognize cohesive devices and complex morphosyntactic systems in historical or cultural texts, such as those regarding Greek and Roman cultures. In the part number 4, we have as macro skills, we have developed and used a battery of reading strategies such as scheming, how I said before. In the micro skill, we have discriminate among the descriptive graphs, and in microscale, we have discriminate among the district graph and orthographic patterns of English, recognize grammatical words, class, nouns, verbs, and others. And the CEFR level is, of course, B1. Um,
Right here we have another test with different multiple choice questions. Right here we have to analyze what is the purpose of the test. In this case, it's a informative test related to research experiment done in Oneida, New York. So in this case, the students or the people who are going to be evaluated, they are going to take into account the information found in the test, and they're going to analyze it and take the information necessary to understand what's the purpose and also to understand the general context nation shared uh, during the process of reading. Right here we have micro skills and a micro skills, which are going to be important to evaluate them. In a micro quiz, we had to take into account what is going to be the description of the events, ideas, and also to infer the links and connections between the events. Which, in this case, the micro quiz it refers to identify the causes and effects, and also identify the main idea, the supporting ideas, and also the rest of information which are going to be important in order to analyze the rest of the content. In the micro quiz, we have to take into account the retaining of chunks language and also the different types of lengths of these type of chunks. And also, as another microskills, we have the recognition of the core words used in the text, and also to recognize the particular meaning of different vocabularies of different types of words, which are going to be important to understand what the text is want to share to the public, to the readers. And this is a very easy test based on the general proficiency levels which are going to be evaluated, since it is a B2 English test for a severe pro assessment process.
Pedagogical
Okay.
analysis. Saber 11 versus Saber Pro. Um, the competence are very different. Like in Saber 11, your level is like a basic level from high school, and in Saber Pro, your level is like have to be higher because of course you're in university now, you're in college, and your English should be better by this time. In this part, the sociolinguistic lens from a sociolinguistic perspective, we observe a progression of lexical recognition. We move from functional understanding in real world context to formal register and nuances of discourses that reflect the author's intent. And as final conclusions and validating and impact, we have that in conclusion, Saber 11 acts like an instrument of a basic prophecy required for university access. In contrast to Saber Pro, that evaluate the intellectual maturity of a future professional, measuring the inferential capacity and essential that is essential for global environment.
Okay, now we are going to analyze what's going to be important for the people who are going to take the Savar Pro test, because during the Savar Pro we have to evaluate also the linguistic, the pragmatic, and the linguistic competences. So in this case, this type of indicative competences are going to be much more professional because they have to be based on the general capacity of the students for the colleges and very important that's our university because they had to work for a very professional environment in their lives because they had to learn English for these types of cases where they had to communicate with other coworkers and also to interact by using the English language. That's why in the linguistic competences, the purpose of the assessment is to understand how the learners reinforce the linguistic capacities to reverse written discourse and also grammatical resources while using the test in order to identify the different communication purposes. And also about the pragmatic competence, this is related to the construction of the central axis of the competence of the communication. It means to process the implicit and also explicit meaning of different speeches and also different written text and also different types of messages shared from oral speakers. And also it's related to identify the cause and effect relationship, which are going to be found in different academic tests. Because the one person who are going to work as a professional, it has to understand the topic which are going to be shared based on the subject matter of the type of university or the type of classes that they're going to take. So they have to understand the information based on a professional perspective. And also about the socio-linguistic dimension, we had to take into account the formal the registers and also the composite exposition of different types of tests. Like it could be chronic tests, it can be scientific articles, and also other types of informative tests which are going to be very important. That's why it requires interpretation of different discourses, also different methods of communication used by different authors who also or even from other students. They had to learn how to use the sociolinguistic competence in order use the language in order to express emotion, to express thought, or to share more information. That's why the socio-linguistic dimension is very important for evaluation during several pro test assessments. Now we have the validity and the professional profile of what it has to be as several protest. About the control of chance, we have to take into account what is going to be the distractors that students are going to have, but the they have to analyze and also compose the test. That's why we have to take into account the different perspectives and also to choose the correct content. So the learners are going to be capable to understand better what is going to be the general topic of the different tests, and also to understand which are going to be the best options to choose as the correct answers for this type of item. And related to the academic impact, this overview is very important because this is a key aspect for the learners. This is the main aspect the universities are going to take as the reference for other institutions to show how they are capable to give the students the information and also the knowledge to understand and also use the English language. That's why it requires a very good interrogation of the content of the English language and also from other subject matters in order to develop the critical thinking and also the advanced discourse analysis in the students because they have to take the Saber Pro as a reference to show that they are capable to be workers.
Final conclusion is a comprehensive view of the educator. Saber 11 is an instrumental assessment. In function as a gauge of the average student's academic progress, its objective is to certify a level of basic proficiency and literal reading comprehension that guarantees fundamental access to higher education. And Saber Pro is like analytical competence. It evaluates the intellectual maturity of the future professional. It measures not only English proficiency, but also the capacity for inference and critical information progressing skills essential in global professional environments. Those are pedagogical recommendations from a teacher. This is like, as a teacher, the thing that I can identify in this type of test is like we're applying those tests in Colombia. So why don't like add more stuff like with Colombian references? I think like they can, okay, it's a standardized test, but if they add more stuff like instead of say Maria and Juan went to the store and buy this and what they got in the store, things like that. What they're not like Marta and Juan, they went to La Plaza Alfonso Lope and they went to the church. Things like that. That type of stuff is, I think, is very, and we need to apply. I call this like Colombianize the test. Leaving the local context, it's like a situated evaluation, is is the best idea in this type of case. Why? Because we can replace an abstract problem with real words and scenarios from Colombia daily life. For example, use the logistic of local marketplaces like Plaza de Mercado, like church, like even like a real school with real names, the coffee economy, or a river transportation to evaluate mathematics, physics, or economics. Thus, it's like a general example, but oriented to languages, we can basically use real names and real locations. A test item is authentically Colombian if the context describes a genuine situation from all territory, while the evaluate competencies maintains the highest global physiometric standards. That's the thing. Just integrate the Colombian context, but keep the standard. Like don't move the standard. No, because we're like using real names or real location. It means we're gonna change the purpose of the question. The purpose is gonna be the same. The only help is that the students are gonna be more familiarized with things and names that they already know.
Okay, thanks to the presentation of my companion, now it's gonna be important to explain from my perspective what is going to be the pedagogical recommendation um, to understand how to implement correctly IFAS test and how to design correctly IFAS test in general. So I consider that there are two important aspects to use as a reference uh, and also very important and also relatable assessments. The first aspect is going to be a culturally contextualized items. What I mean with culturally contextualized items, which is something which is similar to what my companion said. It's based on the usage of the Colombian culture and also Colombian social cultural aspect in order to create tests which are going to relate to the real life context and also the different situations that different learners of the region are are trained to understand and also experience every day. That's why, in this case, adapt items based on social, cultural, and contextual situations. Topics and personalized content for evaluated students on different regions, just like it said here. It's gonna be a very important um, threat to the designing and also the implementation of different items, since they are going to be um, very important thing to use in order to create evaluations. We are going to be more contextualized and also are going to be more specific. They are going to be more easier to comprehend for different learners who are from very distant parts of the country. And also we had to implement multidisciplinary questions. It means that the questions are going to be based on open information of other subjects, for example, math, biology, philosophy, also things like the Spanish language. Even we can take the information from other subject matters and implement it for the designing of the right here we can see, including different subject matters, English tests give new perspectives about the language and vocabulary used for different disciplines, whether it reinforce the communicative competences of the evaluated learners. It means that the multidisciplinary aspect of a test is going to be very important to understand if the students are really are learning, if the students who are being evaluated they have understood what they have to understand, and also the information that they are going to implement in a real life. If they are going to use the information to become more professional workers, if they are going to use the information done during the academic process of learning to understand the work and also to improve their communicative competencies and other skills, which are going to be very important once they become responsible adults.